Hey guys, today I'm going to be filming my palette of the month review video on the Huda Beauty New Nude palette. This retails for $65. You can purchase this from Sephora and the Huda Beauty website. So let's talk about the packaging. It is this beautiful blushy color, and you do have, of course, a picture of Huda here with some of these shadows. I think it's a beautiful picture. I think she's such a beautiful woman, so I love the packaging so much. And it is that really nice material where product isn't going to stick to it, but it does have that nice slick feeling. I do really enjoy that. This does have my favorite kind of packaging for palettes, which you all know is that sturdy cardboard with a magnetic closure. On the inside you do have a really nice large palette, and then you do have all of your shades with the names underneath. I love that there isn't a bunch of excess bulky packaging. I think that the packaging of these palettes is absolutely perfect. So now I will show you all of these shades with swatches. So there are 18 shadows in this palette, and there are 5 different textures. You have 10 mattes, 4 multi-reflective shadows, 2 pressed glitters, 1 pressed pearl, and 1 concealer base. I do think it is very cool that they're including so many different finishes in here, and I have previously reviewed the Desert Dusk palette. I'll have that linked up in the cards, and in that palette you did have mattes, glitters, and pearls, but in this one you also have the addition of the multi-reflective shadows and the concealer base, which is awesome. And I will now show you all the shades up close with swatches. I will also have Temptalia's review linked down below, and I will have her dupe post. I'm sure she's got some good alternatives for all the shades. There will probably be good dupes for the mattes, but some of these glitters and these multi-reflective shadows do look pretty unique to me. So here are all the shades up close. We have Bare, Crave, Play, Fantasy, Lovebite, Spanked, Lace, Daydream, Tickle, Excite, Infatuated, Kinky, Concealed, Secret, Tease, Raw, Charmed, Teddy. This one is a pearl finish. This is a concealer shade. These 4 are the multi-reflective shadows, and these 2 are the glitters, and the rest would be all mattes. So right here is a swatch of the concealed shade. You can see it is pretty thin. It isn't a super pigmented concealer. And then this is the pressed pearl Kinky. Then I have the 4 multi-reflective shadows: Crave, Fantasy, Daydream, and Charmed. So these do look more similar in the pan, but I think here you can really see how different they are swatched out. So here are the 2 glitters. The red is Excite, and the pink is Infatuated. And lastly, we have the 10 mattes. They're not swatching the best here, but I don't have any troubles on the eye. So we have Bare, Play, Lovebite, Spanked, Lace, Tickle, Secret, Tease, Raw, Teddy. I was able to create 7 different looks using this palette. I created a look around every different shimmer. Now, of course, I could have created a few all matte looks and come up with more, but I do feel happy with the amount of looks that I was able to come up with. Even though this is more of a monochromatic palette, it isn't one note like the Urban Decay Naked Cherry. I felt like with that palette, even though I loved it, the looks all turned out very similar, but I do think with this palette the looks did end up looking pretty different from one another, and it was just so beautiful. I enjoyed them so much. So now I will show you all the details of those looks. Here's today's look using my palette of the month. I use Secret as my transition color, Tickled as my crease color, Spanked as my outer corner color, and Kinky as my lid shade. Here what the eyes look like up close. On my cheeks I'm wearing the Balm Cabana Boy blush. On my lips I'm wearing the Urban Decay Revolution lipstick in the shade Matte Backtalk. Here's today's look using my palette of the month. I used Crave on my lid, Play as my transition color, Teddy as my crease color, and Raw as my outer corner color. Here what the eyes look like up close. On my cheeks I'm wearing the Balm Cabana Boy blush. On my lips I'm wearing the Nudestix Nudies all over face color in the shade Naughty and Spice. Here's today's look using my palette of the month. I'm wearing Fantasy on my lid, Tickle as my transition color, Spanked as my crease color, and Lovebite as my outer corner color. Here what the eyes look like up close. On my cheeks I'm wearing Clinique Cheek Pop in Heather Pop. On my lips I'm wearing the Bite Beauty Amuse Bouche lipstick in Sake. Here's today's look using my palette of the month. I'm wearing Daydream on my lid, Lace as my transition color, Tickle as my crease color, and Tease as my outer corner color. Here what the eyes look like up close. On my cheeks I'm wearing Clinique Cheek Pop in Heather Pop. On my lips I'm wearing the Nudestix Magnetic Matte Lip Color in Rose. Here is today's look using my palette of the month. I'm wearing Charmed on my lid, Play as my base transition color, Secret as my more concentrated transition color, Teddy as my crease color, and Raw as my outer corner color. Here what the eyes look like up close. On my cheeks I'm wearing e.l.f. blush in Berry Mary. On my lips I'm wearing the Sephora Cream Lip Stain in number 14 Blackberry Sorbet. Here's today's look using my palette of the month. I'm wearing this Glitter Excite as my lid shade, Secret as my transition color, Teddy as my crease color, and Raw as my outer corner color. Here what the eyes look like up close. On my cheeks I'm wearing the MAC Mineralized Blush in Warm Soul. On my lips I'm wearing a combination of the Tarte Matte Lip Surgeons in Exposed and the Buxom Full On Lip Polish in Sandy. Here's today's look using my palette of the month. I used Infatuated on my lid, Play for my base transition color, Tickle as a bit more of a concentrated crease color, Spanked as my crease color, and Lovebite as my outer corner color. I also used this concealer shade as a base for the glitter. Here what the eyes look like up close. On my cheeks I'm wearing the Balm In-Stain Blush in Argyle. On my lips I'm wearing the Urban Decay Vice Lipstick in Violet. So now to talk about the formula, the texture, and the pigmentation. I'm going to go by each finish because I felt like the shades within the different finishes were very consistent in the way that they performed. So starting with the matte shades, I do think that these were nice and pigmented. They did build up nicely, but I didn't feel like I had to layer and layer and layer them on for intensity. These were very powdery, however, they were still very easy to blend out, and I don't feel like they looked muddy on the eye, which is great. I don't mind powdery shadows as long as they are pigmented and blend nicely, and these do, so I was very happy with that. As I mentioned before, I haven't been in love with the mini Huda Beauty palettes, but the larger ones, I think that the mattes work fantastically. So then we've got these multi-reflective shadows. So these were a little bit harder to pick up on a brush, but I did use my MAC 239 flat shader brush, which is like a really stiff natural hair brush, and because those shadows have more oils in it, I felt like it worked really well with that brush to help hold that extra product and like slather it on my eye. With those, I felt like I did have to do a couple layers, or one with a brush and then a layer with my finger to help make sure the lid was fully coated, and it's because there's just so many oils in those shadows, but I was happy with the way that it performed, and they really are multi-reflective. You do have some like white chunks in all of them, which made them have a little bit more shimmer and shine to the lid, which was really pretty. So then we have these two pressed glitters, which are beautiful, and I'm happy that they're pressed because pressed glitters are easier for me to use than loose glitters. but they're still glitters at the end of the day, and they're real messy. So I did wear one on my lid today. So what I did for my look would be apply all the matte shadows first, then I actually used the concealer base. It works very well with the glitters to help adhere them to the eye. I've also used a glitter glue, and that works nicely as well. So what I did was just put a little bit of tissue under my eye, pick up the glitter on my finger, and just press it on to my lids, and that worked perfectly. I do have hooded eyes, so the glitter did transfer up into my crease a bit, but I was able to just dust it away, and that was fine. I do definitely think you need to go in with the glitter last. There were times where I went back in and added more shadow, and it just dusted away the glitter. It made more of a mess on my face. So you do have to be careful when applying it, but they're not impossible to work with, and they are very beautiful. I do get some glitter fallout throughout the day, which is a little bit annoying, but I've got my contacts in right now, and normally I'd be afraid of glitter, but I've been wearing this shadow for several hours now, and I haven't had any trouble, so that's really exciting. So then we have this shade Kinky right here, which is the one pearl in the palette, and I love that one. I think these pearls are amazing. They have great intense pigment, but they do also have a beautiful shine. Now, they aren't as reflective as these multi-reflective shadows, but I feel like they are more pigmented and easier to work with. Honestly, I would have preferred having more of the pearls and less of these multi-reflective shadows. Even though in the pan these look more exciting, I just prefer the way that the pearls perform. The pearls in the Desert Dust palette were some of my absolute favorites, so I'm really impressed with that formula. I would love to see more of that formula again. I've tried some of the mini Obsessions palettes, and I don't feel like the shimmers in that palette have the same formula as these pearls. These are fantastic. I absolutely love them. And then we do have this concealer base. So I was kind of nervous about this because I don't typically use concealer as an eye primer. So this is a little bit thinner, but you do still actually have some pigment on your eye. You might need to layer it up a bit. It's not going to give you as much coverage on the eye as an actual concealer, but it is very nice and sticky, and it does help the shadows adhere. Now, I didn't use this all the time, but I did make sure to use it a couple different times so that I could truly test it out. As I said, I'm wearing it as a base today, and I'm very impressed. I did not think it was going to hold the glitter as well as a glitter glue does, but it did, and it was very easy to just apply on my lid with a really thin, stiff, synthetic brush. It worked great. So I am really happy with the formula of all the shades in this palette. Again, the glitters are the most finicky to work with, but it's because they're glitters. And the formula is just really great. I'm very, very happy with this. Even these lighter shades here, I was able to get them to build up on my skin tone, or they made just great base transition colors, because some of these others would just be a little bit too dark to go in as my first shadow, but they build on top of each other nicely. And then for the colors in this palette, you do have a lot of pink, purple, rosy tones, but then you do have a couple of like rosy browns, which I really enjoy because you are able to get a different look. Some of the multi-reflective shadows are a little bit more golden or bronzy in tone. That one's a little bit more warm, so I do love that. It isn't just pinks, just purples, just warm tones. You've got a little bit of everything, but it just looks really cohesive, and I'm in love with these kind of shades. I think the look I'm wearing today is very flattering to my green eyes. It makes them stand out even more green, but you don't have to have green eyes to wear this palette. I think this will look beautiful on everyone. So now is the point where I would usually mention my favorite or least favorite shades. Honestly, I like them all the same. I think that they're very beautiful. There's not one shade in this palette that I would replace. Like, yes, I said I would like more of the pearl finishes, but I love all the colors in here. I wouldn't change a thing, which is very rare for me. Usually I could find at least something I would like to change, but I think these are all absolutely beautiful. I wouldn't say that all of these are maybe essential to this palette. However, I think that all of them, either in the undertone or the depth of color, they're different enough to stand out from the rest in this palette. I don't think you have anything that looks like a repeat. So I'm just really, really happy with the color selection in here. It is so stunning. And to give you guys my final thoughts on this palette, I love this. I do like Desert Dust a little bit more because the colors are a little bit more exciting. However, this is a great, very like wearable day-to-day palette with a little bit more glam, because you do have those really awesome reflective shades in here. You do have the glitters. I actually wore one of the glittery eye looks to work on Friday. Like, I wore glitter on my eyes to work. I did have my glasses on, which made it a little bit less noticeable, but I love this palette. I think it is so beautiful. The shades perform really, really well. And I would say that if you've been interested in this, definitely pick it up. I do believe this palette is permanent, so I would wait for a sale because $65 is a lot for a palette. Yes, you do get 18 shades and they're pretty large shadows from what I can see, but like that's expensive, you know what I mean? But this is a great palette. I absolutely love this. I'm so happy to have this in my collection and I can see myself reaching for this all the time. So I would love to know your all's thoughts on this palette, whether you have it or whether you don't. What do you think of it? Thank you all so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will talk to you soon. Bye guys.